call the regularly scheduled Town of Middlebury Select Board meeting for Tuesday, July 8th, 2025 to order. The first order of business is the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any additions, deletions, comments on the agenda? Uh-oh. Hearing none. All in favor of the agenda as presented? Aye.
Aye. I think so.
Okay, good enough.
I think so.
5. Next up is the approval of the consent agenda. On the consent agenda this evening, we have the Select Board meeting minutes of June 24th, the Planning Commission meeting minutes of June 19th, the Infrastructure minutes of June 12th, the Policy Review Committee minutes of May 22nd. We have the check warrants through today, and the Town Manager's report, including the notice of T-Mobile co-locating on Creek Road, the report from the Housing and Homeless Alliance of Vermont, the Clerk of the Works report number 14 on the library project. Any comments, things to pull for further discussion?
I just note that the last meeting, Farhad asked that we reestablish the procedure of having the correspondence to the select board or to the manager in the your town manager's report or correspondence or something, and just didn't want to let that.
So no, that'd be great. Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. No further comments. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Brilliant. 5-0. Next up is citizen comments. This is a time for someone a member of the public, to bring anything to our attention that is not on the agenda. Anyone here for something not on the agenda? All right. Onward. ACEDC. Alex.
Good evening, Select Board.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for having us tonight. As Andy mentioned, my name is Alex Armani-Munn. I am the Executive Director of the Addison County Economic Development Corporation, and I'm joined by my colleague, Camille. Do you want to introduce
Yeah, I'm
yourself?
Camille, the Projects and Grants Manager.
Yes,
Fantastic.
Camille has been working with me on this project that we'll be updating you all on this evening. So folks may recall, I was here with my predecessor, Fred Kenny, I believe back in April. Feels like such a long time ago.
Goes slow and fast. Yeah.
So we are here
I know.
tonight to give you a quick update on our efforts around pre-development engineering in the Phase 2 and Phase 3 areas of the industrial park. So since we met last, we have hired a firm. We hired Otter Creek Engineering, of course, a Middlebury-based firm. So we hired Otter Creek Engineering for the full scope of work as we presented it to you previously, at a cost of $130,000. So I am happy to report that that is in line with our expectations of the total cost and fits well within our budget between our NEMRC grant and the financial commitments that we've gotten from both the college and the town. So did want to share that we got one other proposal in that process. That competing proposal did come in at a higher cost, really just due to some additional services. When those additional services were eliminated, the proposals were pretty comparable, pretty similar. So ultimately, we selected Otter Creek Engineering based on their history with the site and previous work they've done there, which I believe we'll be touching on here at some point this evening. So did also want to share with you that because we hired Otter Creek Engineering, this did present a conflict of interest specifically with our organization, ACEDC, because Jason LaRock, our board president, is a principal of Otter Creek Engineering. So what we've done, as required by our contract with NEMRC, is create a written disclosure of that conflict of interest. That includes steps that we'll be taking along with the town and our partners at the college to mitigate any impact from that conflict of interest. So you'll also see in your meeting packet tonight the contract that was presented to us by Otter Creek. We have not signed off on that yet. We intend to sign that contract this week with that written disclosure as an attachment to the contract. Once that contract is executed, work will begin basically immediately. There is a 6-month project schedule for the work, so with work beginning this month, that should keep us on track to have the scope of work completed by January 2026, which is our performance deadline for our grant. If an extension is required, we will manage that. But so far on pace for that work to be completed. So the other thing I wanted to share with you tonight is that we have engaged town staff in discussions on potential end use at these parcels and how that will really inform and kind of guide the design process. So we had a great meeting with Mark, David, and Emily recently. We will continue to engage with both the town and the college to discuss what those potential end uses may be. And really what we'd like to do here in the approach I think we've all agreed on is to really prioritize the flexibility and just the highest and best use of these parcels. So just ensuring that any design work that occurs now will not preclude whatever development the market, market demand puts forth in the future. So with that, really the next step in the process after we've executed the contract will be initial site investigations. Once that site investigation work is completed, we will reconvene the stakeholders, being the college and town staff, to continue that discussion around how we really plan for end uses and maybe even start to market these parcels to really see what is the demand in the market and how will that guide our design work. The one, I think, conclusion we've drawn at this point is that heavy industrial use is unlikely to materialize. We don't anticipate there being another Agrimark or Vermont hard cider. What we see in the market is more demand for commercial-oriented space and light manufacturing. So that will likely guide a lot of those discussions. But I know in conversations with Fred, he has a lot of familiarity with past work that was done there. So unless there are any questions I can answer for the board, I'd be happy to defer to Fred to maybe comment on some of the work in the vision that was put together for that area in the past.
So, as Alex mentioned, I was involved with the approval of the industrial park expansion back in 1997, 96 era. And with JR's permission upstairs, and I showed some of this to David Soffren today, there's a big development file in this. There was an entire master plan done by Phelps Engineering for the site that had a schematic layout of potential building sites. The first phase of which includes our wastewater plant. This was the first phase, the second phase, and the third phase over here. I understand your proposal with Otter Creek provides for 3 alternative layouts, which makes sense. Sometimes people want a larger site, or they want to orient things differently, or they have particular needs. That's fine. There was also an entire Act 250 master plan document, and some of the people who worked for Phelps Engineering at the time are now in their own firm called Otter Creek Engineering. I want you to get your money's worth, and I know how engineers like to update things, but another interesting tidbit is that the Act 250 master permit for this was signed by the chair of the District 4 Commission at the time, a guy named David Wetmore. So he worked for the town for a period of years upstairs in the planning office. So there's a lot of knowledge, and at the time this was done, the wetland regulations, this was all prior converted cropland under the then applicable rules. So they cleared a number of Act 250 criteria, and maybe the new wetland rules are different now and they need to redo it to determine what's wetter now or whatever. I'm just saying there's a whole lot of permitting prior work, and I just want to encourage you to go upstairs and look through this and build upon that. They already had topographic mapping, true, now they have LiDAR survey and can have greater, finer contour interval, which is great as a resource, but I think the purpose of this is the marketing and the costing of the infrastructure, which of course is way out of date. There are also a number of things that were done at the time that are also way out of date, including the traffic impact analysis on Exchange Street and Route 7, and perhaps some other things. But I just want to let you know and let other people know that there's a lot there, and I'm encouraging you to, I want to support this and have you get the most for your money in terms of what can be working for marketing. There's also a file in here for a project that was proposed but never proceeded, the Eco Global project. I don't know if you're familiar with.
I've heard a little bit about it. Yeah.
This is a consolidation of a number of lots on a $300 million project.
Whoa.
So, I'm just saying there's a lot in here, and building upon their work is going to be useful for you.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you, Fred. That's very helpful for us. And again, part of the reason we chose the folks at Otter Creek is because of their history with this work. So we will certainly look to reference that and build off that in the process. And would just like to remind the board that this, our approach to this project is that this is really the first step in a larger effort to not just design the infrastructure, but then to ultimately leverage future grant funds to construct that infrastructure and really get to the point where we have shovel-ready sites that we can then market and hopefully see some development on. So, this is just step one. For us.
Yeah, I always get concerned when we've got a lovely plan from 30 years ago on which no action has occurred,
I
right?
wouldn't say that. All of the things that
The wastewater.
phase one.
The wastewater is complete, right? But 2/3 of that planning, I guess, has not borne any fruit and is now largely being reinvested in.
Typically, the actual financing of infrastructure happens when there's a project that pays money for the land that can help pay for that infrastructure. And that same phasing procedure is very likely to happen going forward, rather than the town paying for this up front. It would be paid for by the owner of the property, delineation corporation, whatever we call it.
I have a question.
Please.
So, the contract that that I read, a lot of the answers are already there. The topography is not going to change, and you're going to spend more money to do a topography. The survey lines are not going to change, and you've already done the survey. Should you take that into consideration and rethink what the contract with them is going to be? Or?
Yeah, we can certainly negotiate around some of that. I know there has been some discussion around how the base mapping could change in regard to the parcels that are there currently. I believe there's 9 parcels in total. We know that at least one of those parcels has a lot of ledge, so we may find pretty quickly that at least one of those parcels doesn't really provide the best opportunity for building, so that could then drive a redrawing of those lines. But this again is something that we'll work with the town on, as well as the college, to really determine if there needs to be changes to that base mapping and surveying that was already done. But again, I think part of the benefit of working with Otter Creek is that we have that opportunity for cost savings as we go through the process. So we'll certainly look at that.
Okay.
Somebody once told me that development is about attracting investment. And I think a certain amount of engineering information is helpful for that. Ultimately, when they build their own project, they're going to do their own more detailed survey and build what they want. So put your money into attracting investment.
Yeah.
That's what we need.
Yeah.
Or the engineering that will attract investment. Thank you.
Any other comments from the board?
Great job going after that grant, Camille. It's a lot of work to write grants, so.
Yeah, that one was before my time.
Yeah, that was credit to Fred and Kenny for that one.
But yeah.
Another Fred.
Yeah, but we'll be pushing it forward. Hopefully more grants to come.
If you'd like to come up.
I was going to ask if the state has given us any update on the intersection of Happy Valley Road and the big rotary that they're talking about.
Emily can answer that.
Traffic.
Nobody can answer
Of
that.
course it
Well,
will.
she's
Yeah,
got the
when this
pretty
gets
safe
built, there will be
update.
more traffic
We
on
know
Exchange
exactly
Street.
where it's at.
Yeah.
It's not
Alright, so
happening.
is
It's
it-
currently in design.
There you go.
It's proposed to go out to bid in 2031. Given federal funding, which is what's funding it, it's sort of on
Get it
top
there.
of the
Yeah,
design
okay.
phase.
All right.
So flying cars may come first.
Yeah.
The Charles Monroe intersection will come
Is
first.
that what?
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Would the-
That was per plan.
Would they fly in the roadway or would they fly over it?
Doesn't matter, you don't even.
So one of the things that's archaic that you want to ignore in here is the traffic study
Yes.
from that time. In fact, there was a condition as a result of that that said, prior to the development of any lot within the subdivision, with the exception of the municipal wastewater treatment facility on lot 1, a left turn lane at the US Route 7 northbound approach to Exchange Street shall be installed.
Yeah,
It's never been built,
right,
because it was a mistake in understanding of where the level of service F was for left turn movements. It's coming out of Exchange Street, not Route 7 north,
Yeah.
right.
because the traffic study was
Wow,
mistaken.
yeah,
Anyway.
that is very true.
The only other thing I want to mention is if we do get a big investment, we get people out there building factories or service, we're gonna need employees, we're gonna need places for them to live.
Yeah,
And on the 15th, there's gonna be a wonderful meeting out in East Middlebury about 156 acre dead flat plot that's serviced by 3 paved streets. It ought to be available for housing development. Come to the meeting on 15th.
So what's your
Are you
meeting gonna
talking
be
about the
about?
airport?
It's at the airport.
Yeah, okay.
What's your meeting about?
If V-Trans is gonna be there making another presentation about why they're,
Well,
Why I should-
perhaps the feds will cut all of the money
I've
for
got
rural
a
air
call in-
service,
I've got a call into Ian.
and perhaps then we will not be able to maintain our existing rural airport.
Yeah, good.
Something good may come of this for you.
I cut the big tree down that they were working on.
Very good. All right. Other comments or questions?
I do just want to
Please.
add again,
Yeah.
we, I think a unique role that ACEDC will play in this process, going back to Fred's point, is that we will be very proactive in marketing the parcels and in discussions we've had with the college in town up to this point. We don't want to wait until design work's done. We're not waiting until shovels are in the ground for infrastructure. We will start marketing these parcels and reaching out to folks early in the process to really get informed and ensure that we have that investment coming that will help build out infrastructure, so,
Fantastic.
yeah.
Great.
Okay, I'll move to authorize the town manager to sign the proposed industrial park engineering agreement with Otter Creek Engineering as required.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you
Perfect.
so much.
Thanks so much.
Have a good night. We'll be back in a few months, I'm sure, to give you another update.
Fantastic. The next item, number 6, is the town reappraisal of the proposed NEMRC agreement.
Okay, so there was a nice summary in the packet for tonight's meeting and also some summary documents in tonight's packet. But just to hit a few highlights, Vermont law now requires cities and towns to conduct a town-wide reappraisal every 6 years. That law went into effect in January of '25. And our last reappraisal was conducted in 2017, 2018. So we're due, and that went into effect in 2019. The Assessor's Department published an RFP in February of this year to get out ahead of this and sent it to 14 firms. We received 3 responses for a July 2027 reappraisal. And the assessor and listers are recommending that the select board approve a contract with NEMRC for $345,000, and they were the low bidder.
Did they do the last one?
I believe so.
I think they did.
Yeah.
I want to congratulate
They
you.
did the last appraisal.
I want to congratulate you in the tradition of thrifty Vermonters getting 10 years out of a 6-year turnaround.
Oh, dear. Yeah, do we know what our, of course we do, because it's published every year, like, how far below market rate are we on average?
That's 71%.
71%?
Yeah,
And how's our coefficient of dispersal?
that I don't know.
Ah, okay. Very good. It's probably pretty high because the shift of value from commercial to residential property during COVID would cause a lot of variance in the growth of property values, which is what's that's supposed to catch. Anyway.
I think Kathleen gave that to me right before she left. I think.
Okay.
It's great that they're gonna hold their prices through 2029. Is that real? Okay,
I believe we have.
except for added parcels and hardware and software.
There is a gap in the funding, as you can see in the memo that Beth and Allison put together. What we currently have available and what we will need. So if there's not already discussions, there will have to be discussions.
So
about
that
some of the other
$131,000 gap can be budgeted in FY27, FY28. But I'm
Yep.
just saying, added hardware and software and parcels, you might wanna allow.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be amazed if this holds, that people can hold their prices to that many years ahead.
Yeah. Cool.
My final thing is, I hope that now with the advent of computers and the system being computerized, we can keep the old appraisal records in some archive. This is important, and just in terms of the planning office, as to what the established pre-existing uses were on properties. Sometimes they change without permitting, and understanding what they were is a very useful thing. And in prior reappraisals, they've thrown out all the old listers cards, which is very unfortunate.
Will go up maybe.
So my
The new
hopeful
appraisal,
that
your attachment.
that can be preserved.
As our former town archivist, I think that's a very reasonable request. What's the side chatter over here, Farrell?
Yeah.
Okay.
I said our taxes are gonna go up, more revenue for the town.
No, they don't. It's revenue neutral. The tax rate is set based on the needs of the town services.
Convince me, mine went up $2,000 from their last appraisal, so there's.
Come on now. You shouldn't have done all those improvements on your house.
I did nothing, I just bought it.
Yep, okay. Anyway,
I had just bought it.
does anyone have anything substantive to add to this discussion about the town appraisal contract?
Since you don't care.
The speaker does.
Since you don't care about my taxes, I'll move to approve the proposed contract.
Don't joke about it.
NEMRC for $345,000 to carry out the reappraisal of properties in the town of Middlebury.
Second.
I'll accept that so long as you pronounce it NEMRC.
Yeah,
So
I
the
don't-
state will be happy with us.
Very good. Moved and seconded. Any other
Yes.
comments or concerns? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. Emily, item 7, the Halladay Road rehabilitation.
Be the most efficient select board meeting I've ever attended.
No.
Well, Brian.
We're doing okay.
Brian usually has a 2-hour rule. We're working on 30
Brian is
minutes
good.
right now.
We're seeing what we can do. Yeah. I promised Izzy 1 hour. We'll see.
I
Where we end
you're
up.
gonna get there.
Yeah.
We can get that in
So,
You're slowing us up, Emily.
a lot of chatter over here.
There is,
Halladay Road was put out to bid for major reconstruction. It'll be the length of the roadway. I got a $200,000 grant from VTrans last year to perform some of the effort, but the thought is to reclaim the road from Route 7 to just south of the pump station that was rehabilitated last year. That section of the roadway is really rough, and so reclaim that portion of it, and then from there south, just do a shim and overlay, because that section is actually in semi-decent shape. So we only received 2 bids, I think because we had combined some earthwork with the actual package, so it made it harder for straight reclaim companies to bid on it. But the low bid was Champlain Construction, and the engineer agreed with their numbers, and so we were proposing to go with them.
So the difference between $692,734 low bid and the $200,000 grant, $492,000, where is that in our budget?
That is in the roadway improvements budget, which is being shared with the work that is town paving and also Middle Road North efforts.
So is it more than you anticipated? Are we cutting into other road work because of this? or
No,
tell
we're
me-
good. I mean, we had anticipated for 650,000. We were 40,000 over. But on Middle Road, we're using ARPA funding to cover the road portion of it, so there wasn't really that much of that budget being incorporated into that, and so it's paving efforts.
So it cuts back to paving.
It does, but even paving gets split out because some of that is Upper Plains Road, and so that comes out of the
Upper
paving
Plains?
gravel roads fund. So there's a lot of different pools that the
We're
funding
paving
is.
Upper Plains Road?
We are proposing to pave Upper Plains Road, yes. It is a bit of a maintenance nightmare for the crew, both in winter and summer. And there's about $80,000 left in that fund. We haven't funded it in the last year, maybe 2 years, but there's 80,000 sitting in that fund that the crew was asking to utilize there.
Is it your experience that paved roads have lower maintenance costs than dirt roads?
Significantly. It's also, so maintenance in the summertime is one thing.
Sure.
You can attest to this, your road is one of the worst for gravel roads.
Sure.
Wintertime, you also have the issue of not being able to put salt on them, so you have to use a different truck that's only hauling sand.
I see.
And it changes the routing of the trucks, because if there was a paved road all
Sure.
around and then one
Yeah,
dirt
yeah.
road,
So you can put salt on a dirt road?
you do not salt dirt roads, because then you penetrate the dirt and you bring the water down, and then you get
Okay.
worse
So you just
worse
sand?
potholes than we already have. Yeah, sand with it. We don't really have to mix
Salt and
salt
sand.
into our sand because of where it's located. It doesn't freeze, but most towns have to mix in a small amount of salt to keep it from freezing.
Upper Plains is like an anomaly. It's like hanging out there all by itself.
It's easy to forget about Upper
Yeah,
Plains.
yeah,
but
it is.
the
It's-
people that live on Upper Plains
Right.
think about it
You
often.
always turn out, you're
As it
driving
turns
around
out.
pavement, all of a sudden you're hit dirt road for a bit, then you're back on pavement.
They're back on pavement.
Well,
Yeah.
Salisbury, as it turns to dirt now and again through Salisbury, but up, we have North Branch Road, that's another one out there. It's a whole lot more challenging than any of the others we've talked about, right?
North Branch is challenging. I think, yes, North Branch is challenging. I'll leave it at that. We have other
More
improvements that we need on North Branch.
Anyway, we have a number of roads that are dead-end, single South Street extensions along with, for example. Anyway. We're off the track of Halladay Road.
Yes.
I move to approve the contract with Champlain Construction for $692,734 for the Halladay Road Rehabilitation Project.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Aye.
Hearing none. All those in favor?
I'm sorry.
Oh my God. Rascal.
No further questions.
All right. All those in
That's the way
favor?
that-
Aye.
Aye.
Mice are playing it.
Dan,
Aye.
Aye.
thank you.
Take the general.
It's them, not us.
Yeah, anyway.
Oh, gosh.
Thanks, Emily. Is
You're
there anything else
welcome.
we should know about?
I don't think so. I think we're good.
All right. Very good, thank you. Okay. I think we're at board member concerns, the way I read the agenda.
You wanna start with who?
I want to start with you. Farhad,
I'm
what are your
good. I
concerns?
have no concerns.
All right. Daniel?
Did I hear that Ben Franklin is just recently sold, or has it?
No,
No, okay.
they just renovated.
Yeah, I know what they're
So
doing. I
the nail
just,
salon is moving there.
yeah, I knew that part, but I just had read something somewhere that it led me to believe that it might have been sold. But okay, good. I didn't think it had.
Okay. Fred?
I know I expressed worry in the past about St. Stephen's getting grass to grow there, worried about it being festival in the green or festival in the mud. I want to commend them. It looks beautiful. They're doing some finished landscaping there, and I just want to compliment them on their amazing site restoration work, and I hope it works out well in terms of the town's infrastructure and drainage and so forth.
The line we didn't replace.
Right.
Yeah. Very good.
If the minutes note that there was eye contact made with Emily.
Is it?
Nothing, I'm all good.
All right.
7:31.
I'm
Yeah.
also good. Yeah, motion to adjourn.
I moved, man.
Moved.
Second.
You can't move and second. You need
I'll
two
second
people.
it, I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.